On December 6, 2022, the Tennessee Titans fired general manager John Robinson after a devastating defeat at the hands of the player many say single-handedly cost him the job, one Arthur Brown. On January 7, 2023, the Jacksonville Jaguars crushed the Tennessee Titans' last playoff hopes in one of the more questionable finishes of the 2022-2023 season, capping off a 6-game losing streak for the Titans as the championship window seems to have absolutely slammed shut. Questions were aplenty as veteran backup and Tennessee loyal quarterback Joshua Dobbs put forth interesting efforts to end the season, starting in 2 games while only being a member of the team for less than 2 weeks, and questions continue to arise. I personally believe some of these questions have been answered, and believing that, I've gone ahead and evaluated our offseason outlook. I've produced graphics detailing our contract situations, cap room, players leaving, team needs, free agent targets, 2 mock drafts, and finally at the end, a graphic detailing the lineup and depth chart following all the moves that I've suggested this offseason. But before I get into that, I want to know who you think will be our starting quarterback next season and who you want to be our quarterback. Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoy the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps out the algorithm and lets me know that I should continue doing this. Anyhow, I am your host, Cedar. We're going to be talking two-tone. Roll the intro. On January 18, 2023, the Titans hired general manager Ran Carthon to replace John Robinson. Carthon has stated that he believes the Titans still possess a competitive roster, one he does not intend to rebuild right now, and it's off this statement alone that I am basing my confidence, my high confidence, in the idea that Ryan Tannehill will be returning next season. It's widely known that Mike Vrabel wants 17 back in two-tone blue for the 2023-2024 season, and Carthon has been extremely open about his desire to cooperate with Vrabel. I can't see any scenario where Ryan does not return, and currently, I think that's just the way it's going to be. I know Rand said that he would like to evaluate the position for himself, but I do not think the outcome is likely to change this offseason. With that said, I want to give a shout out to Titans Rossi and Titans for Life of the Titan Upload Network for being the first ones to get this information out there. If you don't already follow them on Twitter or YouTube, I highly suggest you do so, because as a Titans fan or a fan of the AFC South, you are missing out. The first thing I want to do is give you a brief glimpse of the lineup for next season, the one we have on contract right now. If you want to pause it to familiarize yourself, feel free. I'm not reading this one out so we can keep this video as short as possible, but look for huge changes to come to this graphic at the end of the video. I would recommend maybe taking a screenshot and comparing the two if you're really interested in how the lineup and depth chart compare overall, but I'm going to go ahead and move on. The next thing you need to know as we head into the offseason is our cap situation. Currently, we are roughly $27 million in the hole, and we have a ton of needs heading into the next season if we even want to compete for our own division. Looking at our highest 15 salaries, we can see a few players who will definitely be gone, a few who may be gone, and a few who will most likely be back no matter what happens. I think we should cut Bud Dupree, Taylor Lewan, and Zach Cunningham outright. I do not want to cut Lewan, but I think we need to. I think that Woods and Jamarco Jones are both in the hot seat as well, but as for the rest, including Tannehill, I think they're going to be back next season, and I personally would bring them on. After making all of the definite cuts, adding in the possible cut of Woods gives us $20 million in cap space. The cut of Lewan would give us $21 million. If you cut them both, that would give us around $35 million. If both go and Jamarco Jones leaves as well, suddenly we have around $37 million in cap space. And I think this is the most likely scenario. So the 37 million number is the one that I rolled with for the rest of my outlook. And I'm pretty sure on these numbers, I double checked everything and all of these cuts are before the 6-1 deadline. So maximal dead cap applying on each still allows for nearly 38 million following these. Next, we need to take a look at the players leaving and decide which, if any, we should try to bring back. I won't read all of these off either. If you want to pause it to read them, feel free to do so. Highlighted in blue are 5 players I believe the Titans need to re-sign no matter what. On the right side of the screen, you'll see the details of my ideal contracts for each player and the total hit towards our roughly $37 million in cap space prior to free agency. Ideally, we can bring back Jontrell Hilliard, Josh Dobbs, Pierre Tart, David Long, and Naquan Jones for roughly $7 million total per season. After retaining these players, we still need to turn towards the free agent pool in order to knock off some more of our team needs. So here I provided the list that I compiled and used as reference in my research while developing the lineup that you will see at the end of the video. I have listed our 5 most valuable players in terms of trading to highlight the unlikely nature of the Titans trading to make any big roster moves offseason. With that in mind, here are the 5 players I would take, which I believe are very real possibilities and actually good fits for the Titans. The 4 in yellow I deemed to be must signs, and with cap in mind, only accounted for picking up these 4 players with plans of drafting the neglected position being center. I had the Titans picking up 4 first-team caliber players from free agency, and it's going to cost us just over $30 million. We've got offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey, guard Isaac Swamalo, outside linebacker Anthony Nelson, and wide receiver Mac Hollins. So where would we be with our financial situation? Beginning with the nearly $38 million, spending just over $37, the Titans would have just under $300,000 left in cap space heading into the draft. At this point, restructures would greatly benefit the team's ability to push on to the next step, but those are out of my realm of information, so I have to leave them out of my equation and assume we only have the $300,000 in space going forward. Moving on to the draft, I provided 2 mock drafts which I completed on Pro Football Network, strictly following my hierarchy of the team needs. I'll actually provide a link to this mock draft and this simulator in the description if you want to go do one for yourself. In the first one, I did it without trades. In the other, I did it with trades. In the draft that I did with trades, I traded the 72nd overall pick in the 2023 draft and the 2nd round pick in the 2024 draft to the Cincinnati Bengals in order to acquire the 42nd overall pick, where I drafted Hendon Hooker. I stuck with a mock without trades for the lineup adjustments on next season's roster, but one should note that I took Jalen Hyde at 41 in both drafts. If he is available, he is the only player I want to see taken at 41. But I also took Byron Young, and he was taken at vastly different times in both simulations. Then I did many simulations after this just having fun, and he was available late rounds 3 or 4 times, but I also saw him go as high as the 2nd round in others. But overall, I have us picking up through free agency and through the draft 3 wide receivers, 2 offensive tackles, a guard, a center, an outside linebacker, and a defensive ends as means of beefing up the roster back to the status of a contender. And all of that work gives us a roster that looks something like this. Again, to keep the video short, I won't go into it too much. I won't read it off. I'll just let you screenshot it, read it for yourself. But as you see, I would have the Titans taking an all-new offensive line, building a real receiving core, and replacing depth on the defensive side of the ball. If you want to hear more about each of these moves in another video, or if you would like justification for any, please ask. Critiques are certainly welcome, but as you can see that there is still one question that remains. And looking at the screen, I'm sure you can tell what it is, and you're asking it, what about the tight end position? And that is a bonus question. If you made it this far in the video, be sure to let me know who you think we should get for that issue. Where should we look for a tight end? Should we draft one? Should we sign a free agent? Should we trade for one? Let me know in the comments which method and precisely who. If I like your pick, I'll feature your comment in the next video. But as for this one, that's just about going to do it. If you've made it to the end, thank you so much. I hope the rest of your day is awesome. I've been your host, Cedar, and this was Talkin Two-Tone.